Hello everyone, and welcome once again to this time of reflection on Remembrance Sunday, a special day in the calendar for so many different reasons. A significant day, of course, particularly for me. I wonder what you think about when you think of Remembrance Sunday, or indeed November the 11th. For me, there are a few things that come to my mind each and every year. The first is as a child and my grandfather, and knowing that he had been a prisoner of war in Italy for 2 years. And children are inquisitive, aren't they? We like to ask questions. And he would never really talk about his experiences. But I was aware that he had 2 significant scars, one on his leg and one on his shoulder, just here. And he did one day tell me they were bullet wounds, but never any information about how he got them. But one day he did share a little bit about his experience in the camp as a prisoner of war in Italy. Now, my grandfather was a tiny man, really tiny, barely 5 foot high, and small with it, not just short. A handsome young man. I have seen the photographs when he was in his uniform. A really handsome young man. And he would say that only on one occasion did he tell me this, that when they were in the prison camp, the regular thing that the guards would do would be to let in all the wild dogs. And he said that if you couldn't climb quickly, if you couldn't climb up really quickly and get out of the way, then those dogs would savage the prisoners. Now, this was used by the prison guards, as I understand, as a way of keeping the numbers down. So if there was an injured prisoner or a sick prisoner, then the dogs would savage them. And I guess, although I don't really want to think about it too much, they would eat them. And he said he was glad he was small and he could climb quickly and get up out of the way. I cannot begin to imagine the horrors that that young man experienced. But I do know that it shaped who he was in later life. And he had his demons and his struggles. That is for sure. Another occasion I think about at this time of year is when I was first an RAF Padre. It was my first station, RAF Cranwell, and I was a baby Padre, new out of training. I had graduated at the end of September, and this was the first big parade service, Remembrance Sunday. And my senior chaplain, the wing commander, was due to preach at this big service, and I was there just to take part, really, do a reading, a couple of prayers. And last minute, my senior chaplain was called away to a big event in London. And he said to me, "Melanie, you'll have to do the whole service. You'll have to preach and walk the commandant through his procedures for what he has to do on the day." Now, I had a colleague at the station who, when he heard the senior chaplain talk to me in this way and basically give me the responsibility of the service, he looked up And he said in a very loud voice, certainly so I could hear it, "You can't expect her to take that service. Are you joking? There's no way that we can leave it to her." Now, I was a little offended, so I went straight into his office and I said, "Excuse me, are you insinuating that I'm not able to preach? I am ordained and have been preaching for many years." So he was told in the nicest possible way to wind his neck in. And yes, the service was my responsibility, and the all-important sermon on Remembrance Sunday in front of all the dignitaries and the very high-ranking officers. And the reason I remember it so well is not because my colleague doubted my ability, although he did acknowledge afterwards that I did a good job. The reason I remember it is because I preached on universal peace. And we unpacked in the sermon what that would look like and what that would mean. So before I tell you any more about that service, I'm going to share a reading with you from Isaiah. Isaiah in the Old Testament, chapter 11. And I'm going to read verses 1 right through to 9. So if you do have your Bible there, then why not join me? Isaiah in the Old Testament. It's a big book, Isaiah. It's usually easy to find. If you can find Psalms, you can find Isaiah. It's not far on from Psalms. And I am reading from the New Living Translation, although actually I'm not convinced it's the best translation for Remembrance Sunday. See how it compares to whatever you're using. Out of the stump of David's family will grow a shoot, yes, a new branch bearing fruit from the old root. And the Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. He will delight in obeying the Lord. He will never judge by appearance, false evidence, or hearsay. He will defend the poor and the exploited. He will rule against the wicked and destroy them with the breath of his mouth. He will be clothed with fairness and truth. In that day, the wolf and the lamb will live together. The leopard and the goat will be at peace. Calves and yearlings will be safe among lions, and a little child will lead them all. The cattle will graze among bears, cubs and calves will lie down together, and lions will eat grass as the livestock do. Babies will crawl safely among poisonous snakes. Yes, a little child will put its hand in a nest of deadly snakes and pull it out unharmed. Nothing will hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, and as the waters fill the sea, so the earth will be filled with people who know the Lord. Now, it's an interesting reading, isn't it? It's a prophecy, and the first half is a prophecy of Jesus, a branch from David's line, the line of David. We recognise the terminology from Christmas readings, don't we? It's talking about the coming of Jesus. But the second bit, it's describing a golden age yet to come, a time of peace, when all will be peaceful universal peace, where there will be no harm done to anybody by anything. A time of universal peace. I wonder if we can even begin to imagine that that's possible. What would it look like? No wars, no conflicts, no cruelty, no violence, no killing of any kind. Nothing to be fearful of. It's beyond our imagination because it's beyond our experiences. The world is a cruel place. And on Remembrance Sunday, we think of war and conflict and what a horrible, horrible business it is. Now go back to me standing in front of lots of uniforms at RAF Cranwell, in the college chapel, in front of lots of high-ranking officers and talking about universal peace. What would it look like? And of course I looked up and I looked at the commandant and I looked him straight in the eye and I said, of course, you would all be out of a job because there would be no wars, so no need for any military fighting forces. And then I looked again and I said, but I won't be out of a job. And of course that got lots of laughter, but it also made them think. And I enabled everybody to just engage just briefly with what on earth does universal peace actually mean? What does it mean today for you and I? Because on Remembrance Sunday we remember quite rightly the sacrifices made, the price that has been paid by so many, the human beings whose lives have been scarred, tainted, their outlook changed forever because we do not have peace, because we cannot get on. That's the truth, the bare truth. Humanity does not get on. So where does it begin? I guess it begins with you and I, doesn't it? How quick are we, I wonder, to lose our temper, to get frustrated, disenchanted, criticise. We can all do those things, maybe a bit quickly, rather than give the benefit of the doubt and be a little more understanding. But the promise is there in the Bible that one day there will be universal peace. It's a promise, yes, but surely something that we have to strive towards. I don't think my grandfather was ever at peace, if I'm honest. I think his experiences changed him for good. And he didn't live to be a great age. Died in his early 60s. And I always felt that he carried a lot of pain. Some of those people, of course, that were at that service, my very first Remembrance Sunday as a fully trained and qualified RAF Padre, Some of them will have made the ultimate sacrifice serving their country. I have indeed conducted those funeral services. I have been present and involved with repatriations. And I have read out many a name on a war memorial. People unknown to me, but loved and valued by others. So what will you think of today when you hear those words? Let us remember before God and commend to his sure keeping those who have died for their country in war, those whom we knew and whose memory we treasure, and all who have lived and died in the service of humanity. They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrows, we gave our today. Let us all strive and look forward to a time of universal peace. And always remember those who paid the price. Amen. So wherever you are, and whatever today means to you, whatever painful memories it may bring, pray that God will bless you, that he will be gracious to you, that he will look on you with kindness and give you his peace this day and always. Take care. Bye-bye.